Hey guys, welcome back to my channel and to today's video, where today we're going to be talking all about my after dark experience at Chessington. So I booked in for the 7 o'clock slot of Creepy Caves, but turns out I was alone. So I was the only one booked in for 7 o'clock and they asked me did I want to go alone, and I said that's not happening. Could I go with some people please, because I knew it'd be so intense, and even though the scares would all be directed at me, as you know, thrilling as that might be, not at the moment I wouldn't want to do that. So I went with a lovely group of people and there were 4 of us, but I didn't expect it to be so intense as it was. So essentially the Angel Fire Plant has taken over, you know, their kind of experimental lab, and everyone's kind of going cuckoo. This is a spoiler warning now for Creepy Caves in general, as well as the After Dark experience. We were the second group to actually experience it on opening day. So you basically start off in the tent, and these 2 actors came up in their suits and kind of just stood there. You know, didn't exactly tell us to go down, but we got the gist of it, to go down. And we got the talk about the fire plant. And then she, you know, asked, are we ready to blow it up? So we were like, yeah, of course. So someone in my group got kind of pulled into the next room. Then she was talking, and all of a sudden, someone comes and grabs me around the shoulders, which I thought was someone in our group, but turns out it wasn't. So I didn't expect that, and then it all literally went off. Every single actor came and kind of touched our faces and grabbed us and pulled us. And then we basically all got dragged off separate ways. So for me, I got taken back the way I came. So I kind of went round the corner, because you go forwards and you kind of go around a corner and this way. And as I got to the hole in the wall, I was dragged back through the door onto the other side of the wall, where I got grabbed at the start. And then kind of had to make my way through, and then all the actors kind of get in your way, and I kept getting dragged and grabbed. And then I had my hood put over my head so I couldn't see, got completely dragged. And then what happened? Oh my god, it's so hard to remember what happened because so much went on. I was grabbed by my neck and the actor was like, this one is mine. And I was like, that is where I knew it was going to be intense. So there's a section where bodies are dangling, and I was dragged and thrown down there, and then I had to keep redoing it. And then I don't know if it was an accident or not, but I got spat on. Not physically spat on like when someone spits. It's like the way they gritted their teeth and it spat. So whether it was on purpose or not, I didn't particularly like that. You know, pre-COVID is not my thing. I don't want any germs. But I got spat at. And turns out other people in my group got spat at as well. So I don't know if that was meant to happen or not, but it happened. The amount of jump scares I had getting ready to go into kind of the UV room with all the plants was very intense. I got surrounded, strangled, pushed up against a wall, and I kept being put through a door, so I kept going around that bit, and I said, not again, and they went again, and then I got surrounded and strangled. Then I kind of got thrown forward, had my hood put over my head again, and dragged into the last room where you press the button to blow up the fire plant, and someone had already pressed it, so I'd missed that. But I was dragged through into there, and then the guy tried to put me on his back, and I thought, in a fireman's lift, this is not happening. You're much smaller than me. So I got pushed and laid down on my back. He started dragging me out by my legs, then 2 other actors came along and grabbed my arms, ran me out and kind of chucked me on the floor, and then the actor did trip over me, but he was all good. And the way they come really close up to you, it's really intimidating, like you don't know what to do. So I kind of just closed my eyes, then they start touching your face to try and get you to open your eyes. It's very weird, but very intense at the same time, and it was so scary considering we were such a small group and I'd never done something like this before. I definitely think if I went through by myself it would have been like 10 times worse. Where kind of the actors have a little box where they can go in and like grab you, I was shoved in there twice, pushed up against the wall, strangled, and like sniffed and heavily breathed on. That was scary because it was so dark and I couldn't see what was going on. That was very thrilling and scary for me. And I personally think that actors in there, you know, did such an intense and amazing job to give a proper scare and make it not like the normal run. So I think they have done such a good job. Yeah, they get very close up to you and really breathe in your ear and down your neck. They properly do drag you by your bag. I was really pulled by my bag. Creepy Caves was just so intense. So I found that in Creepy Caves After Dark, one, you are most likely to be split up. We were all split up in there right at the start, apart from the chat at the beginning. So be prepared to be split up if you do go in there. It's very close contact. You are going to be dragged and pulled. It does say in the waiver that a bag could be put over your head. No bags are put over our heads. My hood was, so I don't know if that counts. You do have the risk of being spat on. It happened to us. Whether it's meant to, I don't know. You are going to be carried and picked up as well. That is a possibility. It happened to me. But for me, I would give Creepy Caves After Dark 9 out of 10 because it was so intense. The actors did such an amazing job. It wasn't what I expected, and personally, I mean, I've booked to do it again because it was the most thrilling thing I've ever done. I definitely recommend it if you're a thrill seeker and you do love a good scare. Okay, so let's talk about Vile Villagers. Now this for me was actually worse than Creepy Caves. It was so more hands-on, so more intense, so more scary. It felt like as well there were more actors in there, and it was so scary. So I'd booked in to do this at 7:20, but I ended up going at 8:10. There were a couple of tech issues, and they send kind of small groups in. And something to note, if you're doing After Dark, it's not going to run to time. It's meant to be 7 to 8, but we were in after 8, and I actually left park at 9 o'clock, so a lot later than anticipated. But again, this was the 4 of us that went through. Personally for me, it was so much more scary than Creepy Caves. This was more intense somehow. I didn't expect it to be. It doesn't even feel like you're walking next to what's being Jumanji being built and Vampire. I have never experienced something like this. I was dragged, pulled, had to crawl through mud. I had water thrown at me. I was kissed on the forehead. I was carried. I was strangled with a rope. Someone tried to take my shoe. I was sworn at. Everything went on. So basically, again, spoiler warning for After Dark as well as Vile Villagers normal version. You walk through under the like washing line, and they were all holding hands in a circle singing, and then they all stopped and looked at us, and we were just silent. We had no clue what to say to these people. I feel like someone said something, but I can't remember what they said, and then they just come at you and run and grab you and drag you. So I had to, if the guys dragged me, they'd push me up against like the shed that they can, again, grab you and come out of. I was touched all over the face, heavily breathed on, strangled, poked, everything. It was so intense. And then we walked up. That happened for quite a while as well. And then I walked up, they had their arms around me, pulling me. Then someone in my group was on the floor being poked and pulled at, and I had to bend down and poke him in the eyes. And then they pushed my head down, and that lovely ponytail I had in got pulled out, and then I was grabbed and hugged really closely, and she was playing with my hair, and they wanted my head of hair. I mean, I have lovely hair, I don't know why you'd want it though. And then she gave it back to me, and it was all like this. And then one of the actors pushed me through like the dangly bit past the pyre section, shoved me up against the wall, hands up like this. You know, like when you go through airport security, you get the beeper, they have to pat you down. That is the word, pat you down. My legs were patted down. And I was just held up against this like shed. I was like, what's going on? And I was touched all over the face again, and I was like, this is the most intense thing I've ever done in my life. And you see, I have never opted out of a scare experience. But as I got halfway through, I was like, maybe this isn't for me. Maybe this is too intense. But obviously once you're in, you're in. You can't opt out. And I'm so glad I went in and did it, because it was so insane. After I was held up against the wall and patted down, I had my hood put over my head, and I spun in a circle, so I got very dizzy, couldn't see where I was, and then had my head shoved down so I couldn't see. And there was a bit of a traffic jam, so I couldn't go forward. And then I was shoved, turned around, fireman lifted on someone's back. This guy could lift me up. My face got grabbed by one of the actors, and I was kissed on the forehead. I was like, okay. And then I was carried over to kind of where the cemetery is. Put down on a box, shoved down on my back, had people crawling over me, breathing, intensifying. I was strangled lying down. I had some fabricy hood put over my face that was sopping wet. So I could kind of see but couldn't, so I kept my eyes closed. But for me, that was the most intense part of it. Like, I did not expect that to happen. Did not expect to get lifted and then shoved down and then crawled on, grabbed, strangled, everything. The rest of my group was sitting on a pile of mud. And then I got pulled down into a hug on the floor by one of the actors. So again, that is the moment I got covered in mud. And then I was shoved into my group in the pile of mud, got laid, sat down, got touched on my face and strangled again, and all over my eyes and my, my hair and everything, because for some reason they wanted my hair. And then we had a massive rope put around us, around our necks, and then they flung it off and go through the tunnel. And the guy was like, cruel. So the battery on my camera just literally died. So we're now recording the rest of this on my phone. Luckily, there's not too much left to tell you, but we were made to crawl through the tunnel. And he told us to crawl, and I was like, we all looked and was like, crawl. And he was like, effing crawl. Now, it says swearing, but because I wasn't sworn at in Creepy Caves, I was like, I'm not going to be sworn at. Well, I was sworn at. Then I was shoved to the floor and made to crawl. Now, because it's concrete and it's muddy, it really hurt my hands and knees. And then at the end, I turned around, they were all there, and they closed the doors on themselves. And that is when I came out. I was shaking, I was sweating. I was like, oh my God. This is the most craziest, intense scare attraction I've ever done in my life. Vile Villagers lived up. If it came back next year, oh my goodness, I would be there. We need more After Dark at Chessington, because I tell you what, it is the best thing. For me, Vile Villagers has got that 10 out of 10 spot. It is the highest of the highest, the best thing I've ever done. It beats any scare attraction I've ever done. It was intense, it was scary, it was thrilling. If you're a thrill seeker, you will love it. It is the craziest thing I feel like Merlin, especially Chessington, have ever done. I mean, I've booked in to do it again, so obviously I want to do it again. If I could book it more online, unfortunately all the slots are kind of gone, I'd 100% do it. Because I love scary things. I love the unknown. So that is right up my street. The scary, the thrillingness. It's all me. It was the most scariest thing. And I wouldn't recommend it to probably anyone younger than about 16. Or even 18, to be fair, because of how it was and how you were treated. It was absolutely insane. Personally, props to the whole entire team and the show captain. It's the craziest thing I've ever done. I've never seen actors so scary and work so intense. It was absolutely phenomenal. So that was my Chessington After Dark experience for Creepy Caves and Vile Villagers. Turns out from Twitter, a lot of people have had similar experiences, have found it very intense, very scary and very active. So for me, I feel like Chessington are definitely giving 10 out of 10 scares this year for their After Dark. They are doing absolutely phenomenal, like so well. So if you made it this far into my After Dark experience, make sure to subscribe, because I'm trying to reach 400 subscribers and it really helps the algorithm, and the support means the world. Leave a like and a comment as well. I'd love to know if you've done After Dark and what your experience was like. Are you going to book it? If you can, have you booked it? Have you done the normal version of Creepy Caves? Because it's the same storyline, but not as hands-on. But it is definitely thrilling. So, I hope you enjoyed my After Dark experience video. And I'll see you guys in the next video. Bye, guys.